Alright, ladies and gents, it's going to be a quick one. I hate to say this. I really hate to see this kind of crap. But, folks, something you need to learn, something you need to understand really fairly. Fox News Network are nothing but a bunch of fucking lying, cocksucking bullshitters. And they've been that way since day one. I've known Fox and CNN to be full of shit. In fact, so full of shit, I could actually use that to fertilize a farm field. The reality of the situation is that every American citizen has a right and a responsibility to detain any persons who are in effect creating a criminal act. That is the law. Now, when they say, oh, but that's only police officers, bullshit. And I'm going to point this out to you. That is such utter bullshit that I can't possibly understand why you'd feed into it. Police have only been around since the 1920s in America, and that's only the NYPD. Subsequent police departments have been around for shorter amounts of time. However, the police department and politicians alike would like you to believe that we, the militia, the people of the United States, being so armed, are those people who have only been around for, say, the last 75 years. Who fought next to George Washington? Who fought in the Battle of 1812? I mean, the War of 1812, really, because there's a lot of battles. Who fought in, every single engagement from 1775 on to 2017? I mean, when I say every single engagement, I want you to understand, just because we're at war in Iraq and Iran and Afghanistan and all these Middle Eastern countries does not mean that there isn't a war going on right here in your own backyards. And if you're dumb enough to believe that that's not the case, then when you eat a bullet, it's your own fucking fault. Plain and simple. There is a war going on in your backyards. We didn't start it, you didn't start it, and neither did the police. The politicians started it. And sadly enough, the politicians are the reason why American militias are considered terrorist groups, simply because a politician said. Not because any American citizen has ever said, not because any good folk have ever said that the militia is, because I'm going to point this out to you. Every person I've ever spoken to on subject of the militia has stated very clearly that the militia is the absolute reason why we are free. The military has no say in that. The police have no say in that. In fact, they're counterintuitive to that idea. And the government is absolutely out to get your rights. If you're stupid enough to believe that they are not, then you're a fucking retard. And there is a border just south of here where I'd be happy to kick your ass across. Because if you're stupid enough to believe that, going out there and saying, oh, but the militia are crazies, they're a bunch of lunatics. Let me point something out to you. If you're stupid enough to believe that, then when the day and age comes when you need to defend your own life because there's no fucking police officers around and the militia doesn't want to do anything for your ass, guess what? You're going to be up shit's creek. Because you're going to be unable to carry a firearm because you don't like the militia, and guess what? The definition of the militia is the people being so armed. So you'd be militia if you carry a firearm. Secondly, and far more importantly, your Second Amendment right happens to exist because men like me, women like my girlfriend, we stood up. We did the right thing. We moved towards action before we worried about consequences. And that is what the militia is, the people who are willing to act to do something important and necessary at that point in time. That's it. You're an American citizen and you realize there's something that needs to be done, you do it. That's the same as, oh, well, you realize, hey, you're a mechanic and you realize somebody's car's brakes aren't doing well. So you tell them about that. You say, hey, your brakes are shit. Let me fix them for you. That, in effect, is a Minuteman action. You are doing a service for another person. And in that effect, you are defending their lives because you are making it possible for them to slow their vehicle down to a stop, which means that they don't end up impacting something. Guess what? That's a Minuteman activity. Just because you're not using a gun to do it, just because you're not using a knife to do it, doesn't mean that your defense activity is not a defense activity. And when you say, oh, but I'm helping the capitalism and all this, well, guess what? Who gives a fuck? Capitalism it's always going to be around. People are always going to want to try and gain and always be greedy. That's just how it is. Let me point something out to you. I don't think everyone should have equal pay. I think everyone should have equal defense, equal rights in the public, and have equal responsibility to defend. When I say responsibility, understand something. Me and General George Patton would have gotten along famously on one effect. If you don't have the mental fortitude to get your ass up and get out there and fight, then you need to take a step back, regroup, and get your ass right. Guess what? Been there. Every action, especially on American soil, is scarier than fuck. You think that just because, you were overseas, you say, oh, well, I saw real combat, I'm a badass. Guess what, jackass? I saw real combat here in California. I saw real combat. People shooting at me, people blowing things up around me, people fucking trying to kill me, people with an interest to really do something harmful to my person, as well as other American citizens within my vicinity, and I had no choice but to effect defense. And like I said, defense does not necessarily come at the point of a gun. It can, and it often does. However, it is not necessarily at the point of a gun. It is normally at the point of a brain. To further this effect, I want to point out to all of you, because obviously some dumb motherfucker thinks that it's okay to say that by doing something on our soil, we're creating an international incident. Let me point something else out to you. Any immigrant that crosses into American soil over boundary lines without leave is in effect creating a criminal act. By creating that criminal act, they do not allow themselves the same rights as an American citizen would have. And specific, if you are not an American citizen on American soil, then no, you don't have a right to detain people. But here in America, if the enemy should be on our shores, and the enemy being any person who brings aught or ill against America that can be considered and misconstrued in any manner of a criminal act that is against American citizens. And let me point this out to you very clearly, because being a natural-born American citizen, I know these things very well. As an immigrant, you don't have these rights. You don't have the right to defend yourself against American citizens when you come onto American soil illegally. I'm going to be straight up and honest. You don't have that right because you broke the law to do it. Now, if you came here and you were fully legal, you got your green card, everything like that, guess what? I'm all for you. I love the fact that you tried. And you tried really fucking hard and you worked really, really, really hard to get where you are now. And as a matter of fact, my family on my mother's side are all immigrants. Okay? They immigrated to this country back when paperwork wasn't a thing. Yes, my family were WAPs. Guess what? They're not anymore. They came to this country, they worked hard, they established a citizenship, and they did so, relative to what's going on now. On my father's side of the family, I have immigrant farm workers and Native Americans. Now, when I say immigrant farm workers, I mean these people didn't have the opportunity to come here of their own accord. They were felons that were thrust onto American soil after being kicked out of England. Okay? These people did not have the opportunity to say, but wait, I'm innocent, because English courts of law do not allow you this. American court of law does. We allow you to have your say, to defend yourself, as is your Second Amendment right, by utilizing your First Amendment right to speak. So, in the instance that some dumb motherfucker thinks that, hey, what these people are doing in Texas is illegal, I'm going to point this out to you. Not only is it not illegal, but these people are defending your lives. And if you're stupid enough to think that they're not, I tell you what, you take your happy ass down here to the border and you start fucking doing something. Let's see if you can do any better. Because I'm dead on honest on this. Both as Guardsman and as Commodore Price. I'm pointing this out to you. Any stupid motherfucker that thinks that they are cocky enough to get their happy ass down here and don't see shit are blind. You are dumb. You are stupid, and nobody's going to listen to your fucking ass. Because you're stupid enough to think that coming here is not going to change your mind. And since you're so set in that, it's not gonna. Guess what? I came here with the same ideals, the same thought. Oh, there's no such thing as an immigration problem in America. I mean, at the time, I was only 10, 11 years old. I didn't really want to come to California, but I learned. Hey, guess what? Everything they're saying is true. California is sanctuary. And it's been that way for a long fucking time. 3. Guess who controls the government here? If you said cartels, you got that absolutely right. And it sure the fuck ain't drug cartels. No, boy. They aren't drugs that they're trafficking. No, that's Americans. We're the ones who are pulling the drugs in this way. We actually want them. Because guess what? They're better than all the pharmaceuticals. No, what's being trafficked the other way, other than American dollars, is American daughters. What you don't fucking know might be the downfall of your family. Don't be a dumbass. Understand there's a real threat going on here. A very serious threat. Specifically because guess who recently has been disarmed by your lovely government? All because we took the side of the people. All because we stood on your side and said, Antifa's wrong. The politicians are wrong. The Constitution is right. And this is how we have to do this. Honest to God truth. This is specifically why this happened. Now, you can say, oh, but no, there's little tiny reasons here and there, and not every military, or not every militiaman has been disarmed. Horseshit. The laws put in place, which are counterintuitive to the Constitution, are hobbling every Minuteman and making it so that it is far more likely that a Minuteman will die on his duty than any American service member otherwise. As a matter of fact, we lose more Minutemen every year than we have operations to cover that loss. Do you understand? More people die defending your fucking lives every year than you even know exist. We're out here on the front lines, and the front lines are your fucking backyard. Why the hell are you sitting on your ass with a computer keyboard in your fingers and fucking around on that thinking that you're a hard ass and you know shit? I'm gonna point something out to you. Police, first responders, Minutemen, we all don't give a fuck about what you gotta say. And the reality of the situation is, I don't really have any ought against police, except when they follow orders that directly negate the Constitution. Anybody who does this is in effect a traitor. By the very definition that they are breaking the most sacred law of the land. The Constitution is what constitutes the center, the core of our law, which a law enforcement officer is supposed to follow, uphold, and defend. Now, if I have to actually break this down anymore for you people, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. I'm just, honestly, you guys have brought me to my wit's end, to the point where I think every single one of you are fucking retards. And for those of you who serve next to me on the front lines, those of you who stand right and forward and honestly and defend this country as you very well should, I salute you. You are my brothers and sisters. I will stand with you proudly, and I always have. But I will never stand, never, for a slaver, for a legislation of enslavement of any kind. And that is what any gun control legislation is. It is a standard for enslavement. No man alive would ever say, oh, gun control is good, and actually owns a gun. See, I own several. I don't have them right now, but I own several. I have owned guns since I was a child. My father brought me up with an understanding that this is your safety. This is your loading mechanism. This is your aiming point. Your brain aims, your eye sees, your brain is the one that pulls the trigger, your finger feels it. Stop being stupid, people. You need to use common sense and understand. Law and common sense are two fucking different things. And never do those two traits coincide. As a matter of fact, far more often than not, those two traits directly negate each other. This is the problem which sits at our feet in this day. Politicians that have too much power. A people who have been neutered. Both physically and mentally. Neutered. You don't have the balls. And third, and far most important, you're too fucking trusting. You trust police. Guess what? They don't trust you. They don't care about you. They don't give a fuck what you think. They only care about what you've got in your bank account or what you can give them. And if you think I'm lying, I tell you what, speeding down the freaking interstate, doing 110 with a gun in your passenger seat. Nobody else there, just do it. Try. And see if I'm lying. By the way, having a firearm, the simple possession of a firearm, is not an illegal act. It has never been, and it should never be. Whether that firearm is in your car, on your hip, in your backpack, in a fucking goddamn lockbox in your house, in a fucking bedroom cupboard, side stand table next to your bed, freaking under your kid's mattress, I don't fucking care. Okay? The reality of the situation is, possession, the simple act of owning that gun and having it about your person, is not an illegal act, and anyone who says otherwise is infringing upon the Second Amendment. Plain and simple. Secondly, the use of a firearm in any effect, minus murder, is not illegal. And everybody that says otherwise is infringing upon the Second Amendment of the United States of America, which clearly states, a militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So in that instance, remember, the right to keep and bear means the right to own and use. So stop bullshitting around and saying, oh, well, these laws are gun control. No, gun control is making sure that you're pointing the muzzle in the proper orientation so you don't shoot somebody. That's gun control. What they're advocating for is basically forced idiocy, because anybody who doesn't have the ability to own, operate, and furnish a weapon cannot possibly learn about that weapon. Instead, they will only learn what is the stigma behind it. Ask me how I know. And as for the rest of it, well, I'll let you figure that out for yourself. This is Commodore Price, signing out. American Patriot Forever Freedom. Godspeed. Hurrah!